Hello, welcome once again. This is number 3 in my short series of introductions to the Empyrean deck. I'm going to say something about this card. This will be the example for this video. It's a guide, and its image is the lantern, because guides always have lanterns in all the movies and stories, and there's a reason for that. And I'm going to say something a little bit more about how to use these cards practically. And in this video, I'm just going to explain briefly these two keywords. Every single card, aside from its title, in this case guide, has these two keywords, has a principle and a virtue. The principle is how this thing works, and the virtue is sort of like the benefit or the upshot. So I've said that each and every one of these cards is a certain blessing. In other words, something that benefits your life in a very specific way and for a specific period of time. Well, a guide is something that is of great benefit, especially if this person shows up at the right time. Oftentimes we need some help, we need some guidance, we're confused. And so a guide is someone who shows up and gives you, could be a therapist, could be a coach, could be a friend, usually an older friend, or a family member, usually not your parents, but could be your parents, but it's usually not your parents, right? It's usually some other person who sort of reminds you of, a parent that you might have liked to have had, perhaps, rather than the parents you did have. But whoever this person is, they show up and they give you some advice, or maybe just some encouragement, or maybe they give you some accountability and say, come on, you said you want to do this, why don't you just go ahead and do it, like now, right? Or whatever it is, this person shows up, is of great benefit, and then they sort of leave, right? Then they sort of done their job and they go off, and maybe you keep in touch and maybe you don't, because maybe it's sort of embarrassing. Anyway, for the period of time you are blessed, and these two words, the principle and the virtue, say something about that blessing. So the principle sort of explains how that blessing works, and the sort of, generally speaking, the kind of thing that you have to do, or the kind of medium, I guess, by which the blessing is transmitted. In this case, it's seeking counsel, right? We often have the urge to seek counsel. We look for someone who could give us the right advice when we are in a place where we feel like we could use some advice, which happens sometimes. And then the virtue, which is sort of the upshot or the benefit that you get if this thing works in the way it's supposed to, is prudence. That you do one way or the other, you get some wisdom. Maybe it's not because it's what your guide said, but something about that interaction gave rise to prudence, to some useful, practical, thoughtful knowledge that will just help you avoid pitfalls, right? So that's all those two words mean. So principle and virtue, a couple of other words to sort of help specify what these blessings are and how they work. Thanks for listening. Next video, I'm going to talk about the difference between a throne and a dominion. Sounds interesting, right? Good. See you in 10 seconds.